Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week International. Before we get to today's video, we're excited to announce that our official Patreon page is now live. Patrons will receive exclusive extended editions of each one of our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International videos. So if you want even more crime news coverage, head over to patreon.com/crimezone.
This week, authorities in Greece announced that they had successfully recovered two valuable paintings that were stolen in a museum heist nearly a decade ago. The paintings were identified as Head of a Woman by Pablo Picasso and Landscape with a Mill by Piet Mondrian, and were taken from the Athens National Gallery in January of 2012. Police say that they have arrested a single suspect in connection with the heist, identified only as a 49-year-old man who worked as a building decorator. The suspect told authorities that he had meticulously planned his heist for 6 months, watching the daily movements of security guards and other staff before finally pulling off the crime. On the morning of the burglary, he deliberately set off false alarms in other parts of the building, then broke in through a temporary exhibit area while guards were occupied. Within minutes, the suspect had managed to grab 4 pieces of art. However, guards eventually realized the museum was being robbed and chased him, causing him to drop one of the paintings. A third piece of art, identified as a 16th century drawing by artist Guglielmo Caccia, was reportedly damaged in the heist, and the suspect told police he flushed it down the toilet. Police recovered the 2 remaining pieces of art on Monday after they were found wrapped in plastic in a dried-up riverbed in the Greek town of Karatia. The suspect had kept the paintings at his home for years, but had recently moved them.
A 75-year-old Englishman will likely be serving prison time after it was announced this week that a court found that he had deliberately set his home on fire to prevent his estranged wife from profiting off of its sale. According to reports, retired carpenter John McCory had lived at the property, a cottage located in the village of Kenford, with his wife for 20 years, and was unhappy that it was going to be sold as part of their divorce proceedings. This apparently bothered him so much that 3 days before the roughly $760,000 sale could go through last June, he torched the place. During the court proceedings, it was alleged that McCory had spent most of the day drinking leading up to the crime. Then, he reportedly set the workshop of the house on fire with a blowtorch, right near a supply of propane gas canisters. As the flames spread, McCory was witnessed sitting in a chair outside drinking, without intervening or calling the fire department. During this time, he told the neighbor, quote, "I'm watching it burn." Thankfully, authorities were alerted on McCory's behalf, and firefighters managed to extinguish the blaze before the propane canisters exploded. The house was badly damaged, but still ended up selling for approximately $440,000. While in court, McCory attempted to argue that the fire was an accident, but this was dismissed by the judge. Not only were there obvious signs of arson, but McCory had stopped making insurance payments on the house ahead of the crime, allegedly so that he and his wife wouldn't be compensated for the loss. Additionally, he had prevented his wife from removing her belongings from the house earlier in the day, but had made sure that his dog was out of the house and staying elsewhere at the time. McCory is expected to be sentenced in August.
Authorities in the Swedish city of Gothenburg are mourning this week after a police officer was shot and killed while on duty in the district of Biskopsgården. According to reports, the incident took place on Wednesday night around 10:30 p.m. as the police officer, identified as a 33-year-old man, was on a regular patrol in the district. Sources that we were able to find contradict each other on the exact details, but it is alleged that the officer was talking to a couple of people when gunfire broke out. He was hit and died overnight after being taken to the hospital. Adding further tragedy to the situation, it is said that the officer was relatively new to the police force. At the time of this recording, authorities have not made any arrests related to the shooting, but said that they have a description of the person or people involved. It remains unclear whether the killing of the officer was targeted or whether he was simply in the line of fire when the shooting began. Though Biskopsgården has a reputation for gang violence, fatal attacks on police officers in Sweden are exceedingly rare. According to a report from Reuters, Wednesday's attack is the 3rd incident of an officer being killed in the last 20 years.
A missing persons case in the Indian state of Meghalaya went completely sideways this week, after the woman in question was found trapped in a locked bank after an alleged botched robbery attempt. According to reports, the family of 40-year-old Isabella Marbo reported her missing on Friday, June 25th, after she left her home in the city of Shillong and never returned. She told them that she was going to the market and had not been seen since. The truth wasn't revealed until Monday morning, when the branch manager of the Meghalaya Rural Bank found Marbo trapped inside, starving and dehydrated. She had been in there for 3 days. Authorities say that Marbo got stuck after her plan to rob the bank went awry. After noticing that no one really checked the building's server room, she entered the bank on Friday under the guise of making a deposit and hid inside the room until employees left. However, it seems that she did not realize that the location would be closed for the next 2 days due to bank holidays. After becoming trapped inside, Marbo used the tools that she brought to try to break into the bank's strong room where the money was held, but was unsuccessful. She also disabled several security cameras, though didn't appear to realize that the footage that they had previously recorded would still be accessible to bank employees and the authorities. Marbo was arrested shortly after she was found on Monday, and now faces a slew of possible charges.
Authorities in the Japanese city of Fukuoka say that they are currently searching for a man in his 50s after the body of his elderly parents were found in a refrigerator in their home earlier this week. According to reports, the ghastly discovery was made on Monday when relatives of 88-year-old Hirokazu Matsumoto and his 87-year-old wife Maki reported that they had not been able to contact them for some time. Police say that their bodies had been stored in a large commercial refrigerator on the property, which had been unplugged earlier that day. The doors of the unit had been taped shut. It remains unclear what the couple's causes of death were, as so far it has only been reported that there were no signs of external injury to either body. Some have theorized that the elderly father and mother may have passed away from natural causes, but that their son never reported the deaths in order to continue collecting their pensions. The investigation remains ongoing.
A woman is lucky not to be facing charges this week after she allegedly caused one of the worst crashes in the history of the Tour de France. According to reports, the incident unfolded last Saturday when the group of riders was traveling between Brest and Landrenau, roughly 45 kilometers from the end of the first stage of the world-renowned race. Apparently unaware that the athletes were fast approaching, a 30-year-old French woman who had attended the event as a spectator leaned partially out into the roadway to wave a cardboard sign that she had brought with her. It was said that this was done in an apparent bid to be captured on camera. The sign clipped German rider Tony Martin, causing a cascade effect of dozens of other riders to fall. The resulting crash reportedly caused 2 athletes to pull out of the race completely, while 8 others were treated for injuries. The race itself was also briefly delayed, as tangled bikes and riders were cleared from the road. Though the woman was arrested following the incident and the Tour's deputy director announced legal action against her, both the charges and the lawsuit were dropped a few days later. Officials with the Tour commented that the story had been blown out of proportion, but also reminded the public that rules needed to be abided by to ensure the safety of everyone involved.
Authorities in South Australia say that 3 men have been arrested and charged this week after they allegedly committed a terrifying home invasion and robbery armed with a machete. According to reports, the crime unfolded just before midnight on Monday when the suspects broke into a home in the Adelaide suburb of Salisbury North. After forcing their way through the front door of the residence, they assaulted the occupants inside, a 33-year-old man and a 36-year-old woman. Police say that the man was attacked with the machete and sustained injuries to his leg while the woman was restrained. After that, the assailants fled with the victim's car and the woman's purse. Police quickly pursued the suspects and were able to easily follow them thanks to the use of aerial surveillance. 2 of the suspects were apprehended when officers caught up with their vehicle, while a third climbed onto the roof of a nearby house. Though the man attempted to fend off police by throwing roofing tiles at them and cursing loudly at them, eventually he too was taken into custody. At the time of this recording, neither the names of the suspects nor the victims have been released. 2 of the suspects are in their 30s, while the other is said to be 27 years old. The men have since been charged with numerous offenses, including aggravated assault causing serious harm, criminal trespassing, and theft.
If you're a regular viewer of our Crimes of the Week International series, you may remember that we covered a story earlier this month about a wanted man who was suspected to be behind the murder of a family of 4 in the Brazilian state of Goiás. A man and his 2 sons had been gunned down during an alleged botched robbery attempt. The man's wife was also kidnapped during the brutal crime, and her body was found 3 days later. The suspect's name was Lazaro Barbosa, a 32-year-old known criminal with prior convictions for violent crimes. This week, authorities in the state announced that Barbosa had been killed in a shootout with them in the city of Agualindas, just west of Brasilia. It took place on Monday morning after residents spotted Barbosa the previous evening and alerted police. Barbosa reportedly opened fire on authorities as they closed in on him, causing them to retaliate with lethal force. The shooting followed a 20-day manhunt, during which hundreds of officers were deployed alongside police dogs and a search helicopter. During that time, Barbosa reportedly took hostages and set at least one house and several cars on fire. Residents in the local area were terrified to sleep or leave their homes. After the report of Barbosa's death, the governor of Goiás, Ronaldo Caiado, praised the police for their efforts. On Twitter he wrote, quote, "Congratulations to our security forces. You give our people reason to be proud. Goiás is not a Disneyland for bandits."
That brings us to the end of this edition of Crimes of the Week International. If you're a fan of the new series, don't forget to tell us in the comments section below. While you're there, make sure to subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. Thank you for watching.